Good evening, and Governor, thank you very much for that introduction. As you introduced me a little bit earlier here today, Simi Valley, and I appreciate your kind words um, of introduction. I also want to welcome members of the California congressional delegation who accompanied me out this morning from Washington. And many of you guys don't know, but as a tradition, I've always flown out to the city or the state that I'm traveling to with that state's congressional delegation. And we always have a meeting in that large conference room on board Air Force One. And it's good to talk to them to find out, get a feel for what's going on the ground in that particular state. We had a little bit over 6 hours this morning on the flight, and we talked about a lot of issues that California is facing and a lot of concerns. And we're going to see what we can do back on the East Coast to get some of the West Coast's problems solved. But it is indeed an honor and privilege to be with you here this evening in Los Angeles. As we gather tonight to reflect on the trials and triumphs of the past 3 years, I stand before you not as your leader, but as a fellow citizen, sharing a vision to renew the spirit of our great nation. And we are in the midst of a presidential campaign. We've had our first primaries and caucuses. And one of the things that really gets to me is all the name calling that's going on in these races. I hear very little talk about the issues, and there are so many issues that are facing our great nation. You know, um, you just think about not only our great nation, but the world. The world is full of hotspots right now. And yet, all the candidates want to do is slander one another. Well, tonight, I want to talk to you about the issues that are facing our nation. I'm not name calling. I'm not insulting anybody. That's that has no place in this race. No place in this race. But I want to really share with you the vision I have for the future of our nation. We have faced unprecedented challenges, from the relentless grip of unprecedented pandemic to the growing polarization. Yet through it all, we demonstrated a resilience that defines the American spirit. And think about it. Just at this point, almost 4 years ago, COVID was on our shores. COVID was on our shores almost 4 years ago. And the unemployment rate was about where it is right now. And overnight, it skyrocketed to 15.5%. Millions of Americans were out of work. Millions of Americans out of work. We were locked in. The economy was on the brink. The economy was on the verge of a disaster and of collapse. If the Congress had not stepped in and provide pandemic unemployment payments, PPP, Paycheck Protection Plan, if they hadn't done that, our economy in this country would have collapsed. And it would probably have been worse than the Great Depression. But Congress stepped forward. We got the money we got money to the citizens, and our economy survived. Our economy survived. And in the course of the past 3 years, our collective efforts have borne fruit, witnessing a remarkable reduction in unemployment from 15.5% down to a little bit over 3%. Tonight, I want to share with you our commitment to overhauling the unemployment system. No longer will it be susceptible to exploitation and exploitation. It won't be part of that. That's what came out of COVID. One of the things that came out of COVID was the fact that when we were locked in, some of us got used to not working and we're taking payments. And once the economy got back on its feet, people started going back to work. Those people remained home. Those people remained home. And who pays for those benefits. You and I, the taxpayers of this country. I have submitted a plan, or I've introduced a plan called enhanced unemployment. And the very word enhanced means it's going to be a step up from regular unemployment. Under my enhanced unemployment plan, we will mandate a minimum of 5 job interviews per week for continued benefits. There'll be no more of this applying for a job, accepting a job interview, and then turning it down. You will have to get 5 job interviews a week to qualify for benefits. You will have to work for benefits. This is not sitting on the couch watching TV benefit program. This is on the computer, applying for jobs, going for interviews, and getting back to work. And I've been through plenty of job transitions in my life. And each time, one of them, I was told by my lovely wife, Andrea, I was told that my new job was to find a job. And so my challenge here tonight is for every able-bodied, unemployed American in this country, your new job is to find a job. And it's about pride too. Think about the pride you get. And I remember back, I'm old enough to remember when you used to get paychecks, when you get paychecks on that Friday, and how glad you were to get that paycheck. Now they're direct deposits, but you still get that thrill when that direct deposit posts, right? You worked for that. You don't get the same thrill getting unemployment benefits. You're just trying to make ends meet. You didn't do anything to get those benefits, unemployment benefits. It's time for us to get back to work. And every able-bodied American will have a job in this country. Now, let me be clear about the term able-bodied before I get in trouble here. I'm excluding our seniors and stay-at-home parents. Who I am addressing, though, are those, despite the end of the pandemic, they have chosen unemployment and have not returned to the workforce. This status quo will not continue. Under my leadership, it will come to an end. One of the first things I would do as your president would be to sign an executive order. We all talk about day one things. Everybody talks about what they would do on day one. We got a candidate who wants to be a dictator on day one. What I want to do on day one is sign an executive order that mandates an increase in unemployment requirements until we get the enhanced unemployment bill passed through Congress. And that brings up another topic about things I would like to do on day one. I want to talk about the infrastructure of our nation. This initiative is not merely about fixing things, it's a deliberate effort to strengthen and modernize critical elements such as roads and bridges. Our commitment to improving infrastructure goes beyond immediate repairs. This initiative is strategic and forward-looking endeavor aimed at enhancing the very foundation of our nation. We recognize that our roads, bridges, and other essential structures form the backbone of our society, facilitating economic activities, connectivity, that's easy for you to say, and the overall well-being of our citizens. This improvement plan involves a meticulous assessment of our current infrastructure conditions, identifying areas that require not only repairs, but comprehensive upgrades. We are focused on deploying advanced engineering solutions to ensure that our infrastructure not only meets existing standards, but anticipates and adapts to the evolving needs of our dynamic society. From the development of smarter transportation networks to incorporating innovative and initiative materials and construction methodologies, our aim is to create infrastructure that is not only durable, but also efficient. We envision a future where our citizens experience smoother commutes, safer travels, and a robust infrastructure network that facilitates economic growth and societal progress. Central to our strategy is recognizing the profound impact on our communities. It's not just about construction, it's about creating opportunities. By investing in these improvements, we're stimulating local economies, generating jobs, and I'll say this again, we're generating jobs and breathing new life into neighborhoods, ensuring prosperity reaches every corner of our nation. On the jobs part of it, you think about it, and I mentioned the 3.5% unemployment. For every person in this room here tonight, you have 1.6 jobs available to you. Just get on the internet. There are jobs for every person who wants one. And why you're still in unemployment when you can work is beyond me. That's got to come to an end. A cornerstone of this initiative is our commitment to environmental stewardship. We are incorporating advanced technologies to make our infrastructure more eco-friendly, including significant investments in renewable energy projects, such as solar, and recognizing the need for collaboration. We emphasize bipartisanship. We call on Congress to unite and pass comprehensive legislation that not only addresses immediate needs, but sets the foundation for sustained long-term development. Bipartisanship, something you do not hear in our nation's capital anymore. Two parties working together as one. Oftentimes, I think people in Congress, they forget about who put them in office. And it's easy to do that. You get up to Washington, D.C., you get on that, you land there at Reagan National Airport, you go across the 14th Street Bridge into the nation's capital. Oftentimes, you forget about back home. You get caught up in the allure, the game of what is Washington, D.C. And you forget about back home. It's only when you take that flight back home, and every time I do that, I take that 3-hour flight back to Texas. And every time you do that, you think about the issues that are affecting back home. Understanding the unpredictable future, our plan prioritizes resilience, strengthening our infrastructure ensures a quicker recovery in times of crisis, and underscores our nation's ability to rebound from unforeseen challenges. Beyond immediate concerns, the plan charts a course for the future. Strategic investments are intended to position the United States as a global leader, not just economically, but also in terms of technological innovation. This initiative transcends political affiliations. It is a collective effort reflecting the enduring spirit of our nation. As we discuss these plans throughout the remainder of the year, let us remember that it's an opportunity for our country to work together, irrespective of differences, for the collective betterment of all. And that really is what it is. We have to work together. Let's quit the name calling. Let's work together. There's not that much difference. Yeah, there are different political parties. We have different beliefs. But there's nothing that we can't work out for the sake of the American people. You know, one of the things that I just talked about yesterday was our budget. Here we are almost in March and have not passed a federal budget for this current fiscal year, actually. Why have we not done that? We're going from CR to CR to CR. We're just pushing it forward. It is time to get a budget on the president's desk and get it signed. I cannot remember the last time, and it's mandated by law. It's the first month, I believe it's the first Monday in February, the president's budget comes out from the Office of Management and Budget. I do not recall the last time that presentation actually happened. If that actually happened as scheduled, we'd be 4 budgets backed up in Congress. Let's quit the bickering. Let's get a budget passed. Let's get our spending passed. Let's get this done. You know, and some of the other issues, and I'm glad we're talking about these issues here tonight, is the exorbitant cost of prescription drugs. This issue transcends mere policy. It's a moral imperative. It's unjust for individuals to bear the burden of paying hundreds for medications while you got Big Pharma over there reaping millions of dollars in profits. millions of dollars. Now, my big plan on back to basics education, I want to get teachers more money. I'm talking about putting in over $1 trillion in funding for teachers' salaries. But now we get teachers who are getting by, just barely making ends meet. And a dear friend of mine back in Texas, she has to take this prescription. It's not a choice; it's a requirement. It's $700. $700. You think about teacher pay? That's probably 50% of your paycheck, maybe. So how is that fair when the people making the prescription drugs are reaping in millions of dollars? Millions of dollars. There's this commercial on TV, and I won't name the drug, but they show a good comparison. They show a drugstore price and then a generic price. It's incredible what the difference is. Why can't Big Pharma charge that price to every American and forget about the millions of dollars in profits? Now let's turn our attention to the transformative potential of electric vehicles. And I know this is a big thing out here in Southern California. As we stand on the principle of a significant shift toward EVs, we must acknowledge the importance of infrastructure readiness. The transition involves a comprehensive overhaul from charging stations to power grids. Rushing without proper preparation is like setting sail without a navigational map, risking challenges that could hinder the adaptation process and lead to unintended consequences. Our journey towards a sustainable future requires careful planning and strategic execution. Let us not be hasty in this pursuit, but rather deliberate in ensuring that our infrastructure is ready to support the electric revolution. By doing so, we pave the way for a smoother, more efficient transition that benefits not only us, but generations to come. Let's take time. Let's put the infrastructure in place. There's candidates out there saying they want to do it in 20, 30 years. I will tell you this here tonight. Under my administration, the transition will happen in this country when the infrastructure is ready in this country and not a day before. I think about my hometown back in Texas, 36,000 people, 36,500. And there may be more, but I only know of one charging station in our city. It can handle about 3 cars for 36,000 people. We're not ready. We're not ready with our infrastructure. And so you have my commitment. The transition to EVs won't occur until we have the infrastructure in place to make this happen. Now, shifting our focus to the issue of the borders, let me reaffirm here tonight that the United States welcomes people, but it must occur through proper channels, not through unauthorized crossings. We will diligently reestablish our border to ensure border order and security. And think about the hundreds of thousands of people who cross our border, unvetted. Now, I made a visit to El Paso almost over a year ago now, and I saw the international bridge going into Mexico. And I saw the hundreds of people who come across that bridge, thousands of people that come across that bridge every day illegally. Even one of my pastors back home came from Ghana. He didn't come through the Rio Grande River. He came through DFW Airport. Why don't we do that? That's the proper way you enter this country. And one of the key problems we have with the border situation we have right now on our southern border is the fentanyl crisis unfolding within our nation. This crisis demands urgent attention. This synthetic opioid, known for its formidable potency, has become a central point in the ever-expanding narrative of the opioid epidemic. The crisis requires an approach from intensifying law enforcement efforts to dismantling illicit drug networks, to enhancing addiction treatment accessibility within our healthcare systems. Addressing the fentanyl crisis mandates collaboration across various sectors, from government agencies and healthcare professionals to community organizations, through a unified and multifaceted approach. We can strive to stem the tide of this devastating epidemic, safeguarding communities and fostering a healthier, more resilient society. And think about it. Think about the amount of fentanyl that crosses the border or has crossed the border. Enough fentanyl has crossed the border to kill every single American in this country. Now, that doesn't wake you up. I don't know what will. We have got to get this border situation under control. We can talk about it and keep talking about it, just like with gun control. Every time something happens, we talk about how we're going to fix the problem. We talk and talk and talk and talk, but we don't take the action. Fentanyl, we've talked and talked and talked and talked. We don't take the action. My administration will take action on both issues. You heard people say on day one, we're doing it on day one. The Middle East has been marred by decades of conflict, and the Israeli-Palestinian issue remains at the heart of this turmoil. I firmly believe that a just and equitable solution lies in the establishment of two independent states, Israel and Palestine, living side by side in peace and security. Supporting a two-state solution does not mean taking sides. Rather, it's an endorsement of a just and comprehensive resolution that accommodates the rights, security, and dignity of both Israelis and Palestinians. It calls for a dialogue, diplomacy, and a commitment to finding common ground for the betterment of all involved. And really, the two-state solution is, I believe in my heart, is the way to go with this. I know the Middle East has been marred by conflict since the very beginning of time. The two-state solution may not be the solution that will end the conflict, but I believe it's worth a try. Now, as we talk about this next issue, let me preface what how I feel about this. Deep down in my heart, I think that taking someone's life is wrong. My religion tells me that, and just my heart tells me that. But I believe in the sanctity of life, and I recognize the profound value of every individual. At the same time, I firmly believe in a woman's right to make choices about her own body and reproductive health. The issue of abortion rights is multifaceted, involving personal beliefs, ethical consideration, and legal frameworks. Supporting a woman's right to choose does not diminish the recognition of the inherent value of life. Rather, it acknowledges the complexities of individual circumstances and the autonomy that women deserve in making deeply personal decisions. As a society, we must strive to create an environment where women have access to comprehensive reproductive health care, education, and support. And I really think it's not the government's right to mandate what you do with your body. What role does the government have in telling a woman how she manages the health of her own body? That woman knows how to handle that health. The government should have no role in that. And that's what a lot of these rulings are saying, that they have a role in deciding what you do with your body. That's not the way this country was formed. That's not the way it was formed. Education reform stands as a pivotal cornerstone of our nation's restoration. Our classrooms should be sanctuaries of learning, not a political battleground. My education plan, called Back to Basics, aims to support teachers, provide quality education, and prepare students for the future by depoliticizing the classroom, taking politics out of the classroom and putting them in the dumpster. They have no place in the classroom. Restoring patriotism and reinforcing fundamentals like history and the ABCs is just not a campaign slogan. It's an imperative. You know, I've been married to an educator for almost 30 years. Understanding the challenges teachers face, increasing teacher pay is crucial. Although it's a state level matter, I aim to assist states in funding these raises. And we're not going to seize control before you say, oh, he's another Washington power grab Rogers is trying to do. It's not that. what my administration would do is provide the funding to give to the states. There is only one program that I'm aware of that is government mandated. That's pre-K. I'm not going to sit here tonight and tell you I'm taking control of state funded education. Washington has no place in that. And under my administration, it won't have a place in that. And we need to restore patriotism and pride and fundamentals in our classrooms. Like I said, history, ABCs is essential to rejecting this so-called woke education. I recall a teacher who prioritized teaching government, instilling patriotism without pushing a political agenda. And he did. It's the reason I'm probably up here tonight. It's the reason that the mayor of my city is the mayor of my city. We were both taught by the same teacher who taught us the sense of patriotism and pride in our community, being involved in community activities. That's why our city has the second female mayor, black mayor in our city. And I'm awful proud of that. I'm awful proud of that. And it's because of a teacher like Bill Hickey that's possible. It's for a teacher like him that I'm up here tonight talking to you. The plan I unveiled tonight is not merely a policy agenda. It's the opening of a chapter in our journey to restore the greatness of the United States. And I firmly believe that if we stop the bickering, the name calling, the hollering, the fighting, the punching, there's not anything we can't accomplish in this country. We are so close to greatness in this country. We are. And I thought about this today when I came out to Southern California. A great president from your state here, President Reagan, always had pride and patriotism in his heart about this country. I share that. And I want to see this country back to those days. And I believe we can do it. But if we come together, there's not a single thing that we cannot accomplish as the United States of America. May God bless you. May God bless our troops. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.